we are going over to India to talk to SB about atheist morality on abortion. SB, how are you?
I am doing great. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Hello, Richard. Hello, Scott. Hello, Dr. Ben. Hello.
Hey, SB.
Hi. Hi. Yeah, so basically, this is my first time, so I'm a bit nervous. So please don't judge me or anything. Yeah, it's
You're
great
fine.
to be on the show. I'm an atheist, but I have some moral dilemma about abortion that I am not able to clarify. Like, I am not able to understand how it is moral. Like, I understand the argument of body autonomy, but I'm still not convinced. Like, shouldn't the right to life of a human or a potential human being trump any autonomy that someone other has?
No. And so I'm actually glad I'm here for this conversation. Do you, let me ask, do you think that termination of pregnancy is moral sometimes? Or do you think that it is always immoral?
Actually, I think it is sometimes moral when the baby has some like rare disease. Like if it gets born, it is going to have like a extremely hard, not a harsh, but extremely impossible to live life basically. Or like
what about for the what about for the pregnant parent? What about for the pregnant parent?
A baby has, yes, if the baby has like gives us, is it if the baby gets born and the mother dies or has some diseases due to that, then also I think it is moral, because like we already have a life, and for something that is potential, we shouldn't ruin or kill with an actual living life which is already there.
Okay. So if those situations are okay to terminate a pregnancy, do you think that there is a time frame within a pregnancy that it is or is not okay to terminate?
I think when the baby starts to feel pain, or like it has like a heartbeat and it gets limbs and a brain, I think it becomes like it seems like quite barbaric, like to remove.
But here's the difference. So here's why I asked the question in a certain way, because there's a miscommunication about what abortion or termination is. And that's where a lot of arguments fall. So termination, and I'm using the word termination specifically because it is not the state of the fetus, it's the state of the pregnancy. And so that's really, really important. So it is not the ending of the life of the fetus. That is, so abortion as a term refers to the ending of pregnancy by any means, whether it be medically, surgically, or like just a spontaneous ending of pregnancy prior to 20 weeks gestation. So that includes miscarriage. Miscarriage is an abortion. That includes like early terminations, medically or surgically. Those are all abortions. Anything after 20 weeks, it is a delivery, whether that is non-spontaneous or spontaneous. At any point in the pregnancy, if you end it non-spontaneously, so if you use medicine or surgery to end a pregnancy, at any point, it is a termination. And so that's why I'm going to use that term termination. But that being said, termination does not necessarily lead to loss of fetus. So you can terminate a pregnancy and have a living baby, right?
Yes, I know that. But
so that's where this question is sticky.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what makes this question sticky. It's the cases, and I think that's where we're going to agree, is it's more ethically sticky at places where the loss of life of the fetus is a consequence of the termination. And I think, would you agree that's kind of where we're having?
Yes. That is okay. The issue. Like That is what the issue is, when like a potential life is being lost.
So let's say
One
that
second.
somebody is pregnant and they're not currently having an emergency. They're not
Yes.
immediately needing a surgery. They don't immediately need medical care, but they have some medical condition that makes it incredibly dangerous to do that. Do you
To
think they should be
terminate
allowed
or
to?
to
Do you
carry
think they
the
should be
pregnancy.
allowed to determine how long they carry that pregnancy?
So is it dangerous for her to terminate or to carry the baby to
Carry.
birth?
And like if someone has Ehlers-Danlos, and if they have a relatively high risk of having their aorta rupture at some point during the pregnancy,
Yes.
it's not currently happening.
At that point, it gets quite muddy. Actually, I agree with you 100%. But what I want to pivot to is like when it is for like career or for like inconvenience or for like.
Well, so here's where I'm going to push back, and here's where I'm going with this discussion. Because
Okay.
is it other people's business to know what circumstances are going on for you medically?
No, I don't think so.
Right. So that's a decision that you and your doctor need to make. And that's the argument for bodily autonomy. It's saying that people who are not the patient and not the doctor should not be able to make that decision of whether or not it's medically worth it for that person.
But don't you think that fetus should have some rights? Because when we consider that
it's again, it's not a matter. No, it is not. It's not a matter. Again, it's not a matter of the loss of life of the fetus. That may or may not be a consequence of the termination. But what it comes down to then is someone else's right to use your body. Like that's what this is. Like, do you think people should have to donate a kidney, donate blood, donate anything? Do you think they should be required to do that? Even if it's their child, do you think a parent should have to give blood to their child?
No, it shouldn't.
So if a parent should not have to give blood to their child, why should a pregnant person have to give their body and their uterus and their risk of complications to that fetus?
But I am arguing in the case where it isn't the case. Like when it is
okay, but let's add another layer here. Do you know how dangerous pregnancy is? Just a normal pregnancy.
Not sure.
It's incredibly dangerous. It's one of the most common causes of death worldwide, and one of the primary causes of that is postpartum hemorrhage. It's bleeding so badly that you die, and it often happens so quickly that you cannot control it, and you don't know how high your risk is. Some people have risk factors you can point to earlier on, but some people have it for no reason that they could have predicted. Same thing with blood pressure issues. If you have preeclampsia, you have increasing risk of having seizures in your pregnancy that could kill you or the fetus. And that's in a normal pregnancy. Like these things can come up and you don't know what complications you're going to have. And so it's not anybody else's business to say, you should make this decision about your health risk, right? Like that should be between the patient and their doctor, not between some people that don't have to make that decision.
But do you think there should be any limitations? Because if that is the argument, it could go to like 9 months, right?
No. Here's the thing, though. And again, SB, you're misinterpreting what termination is, because if you do that at like 9 months, that's called an induction of labor. That's a normal delivery. They've still carried it to term. Right? That's a term delivery.
But-
And so you can terminate, and it's also termination. An induction of labor or a C-section are both terminations at term. And that's not what we're debating. We're debating here, what we're debating is termination between probably 20 and 24 weeks, or 20 weeks and 32 or 34 weeks. You can kind of make more of those debates, because that's where you have questions of fetal viability. But carrying that argument all the way to term is dishonest.
So cause I have heard like people say they need like up to 9 months or even after birth. I have even heard arguments.
Those are people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and again, should not be making the decision for other people because they don't know medically what they're talking about. Do you think random people on the internet who have never had medical training should have any say in this argument at all?
They are saying that the mother should do that. Like even after birth, they should have the right.
You can't terminate a pregnancy that's over. Right? That's not possible. Again, it is not the state of the fetus, it's the state of the pregnancy. You are ending a pregnancy, and whether or not the fetus is viable at that point is irrelevant. That's not the point. The point is, should a person be able to end a pregnancy? And my answer is yes. And I've given you so many reasons why it is the ethical decision to make. And
I guess
you keep going back to misinformation.
I guess I'm a bit of an empath because I come from India, right? Here there is a serious issue going on, like the female infanticide, where
right, but there's also in India there's a huge higher risk. In India, there's a higher risk of maternal mortality because of postpartum hemorrhage, because of preeclampsia, because of intrauterine infections. So they have more reason to be cautious there too with who should carry a pregnancy.
I'm so sorry. But should I speak? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Hello. But the issue here is that due to this law, there is extreme patriarchy in India, like extreme to the levels that you couldn't imagine. So here they find out the gender of the baby, and if it is a female, they force the woman to kill the baby because they don't want females here. It's called female.
Well, but that's not our debate. That's also not, or I'm not in favor. I know I'm not in favor. SB, I am not in favor of the government making that decision for people. I am in favor of that person, the person who is pregnant, making that decision for themselves in discussion with their physician. That is what I am in favor of. I don't think anybody else should get to weigh in on that discussion.
But can they make that decision if they specifically do it for a female? Like if they have a female inside and they don't want a female, and
again, that's where you have a discussion. That's why you have a discussion with your healthcare team, and you talk about what your reasons are and what the risks are, etc. You have that discussion with your healthcare team, and you decide together if that's the right move for you. Do I think that terminating a pregnancy purely because of the sex of the fetus is an ethical decision? I don't think that specific reason is a good one. However, I don't think that is a good reason to remove the right to autonomy for every other person that requests a termination. I think there's a lot of gray area that needs further discussion in those specific circumstances, but the answer is leave that decision up to the people involved in that decision.
Yeah, I agree to disagree. I get your points. Like somewhere I think it's my.
I don't think you've listened. I don't think you've listened to a lot of this.
I have actually understood and I have actually listened. I've tried to listen. It is actually a bit of I have to get to terms with it, basically. I am still in that process, because I was extremely against abortion basically. I got to like a moderate point, but I'm still in that position. I am in that scene where should it be allowed? Is it moral? Like I am still thinking about. Like I am still like pondering over it. I get your point. I 100% get your point. Thank you for having me. I didn't want to offend any one of you. Like if anyone is offended, I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you. Enjoy. It's a great show. Cheers.
I don't know if I feel bad that my colleagues here weren't able to weigh in. Do either of you want to?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, I kind of knew I was going to dominate this call a bit anyway. But I do want to make sure they can get some points in if they'd like to.
Yeah, I would just add that. I mean, I'm in favor. I'm pro-choice for the same reason that I'm against slavery, for the same reason that I'm against sexual assault, for the same reason I'm against theft. The difference between slavery and employment is consent. The difference between sexual assault and good sex is consent. The difference between theft and loaning some of your stuff to another person is consent. And so I can't think of any situation where it would be acceptable for me to inhabit the body of another person against their will. And that sums it up for me right there. Beyond that, I mean, there's nothing more. I mean, Dr. Ben, Avi clearly is the expert here medically. And so, so I can't add anything to that. Richard, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is not my field whatsoever. I just think, if something you said very early on in the call interested me. You said potential human life, and I think that in itself draws up lots and lots of kind of things that, we can get deeper in on. Like, should you not masturbate? Because every time you shoot your load, you're doing a god and flooding the earth and just killing everybody. Is menstruation murder? There's lots of things we can. Potential human life is a conversation in itself, which we've not had time to go into here. But I appreciate, SB, that you're calling. I appreciate that you're asking these questions and you want to kind of learn more. And I appreciate the journey you've come on. I would just encourage you to continue asking the questions. Yes, you might not disagree with the things Ben said at the moment, but kind of take the morality out of it. Because that seems to be your sticking point. Take the morality out of it and go and read up on the medicine. And then, once you're in possession of all the medical facts around it, like, when is a termination, when is full term, when you're in possession of all the facts and you've kind of not in a discussion with someone like Ben, but you've actually gone and read the stuff on your own, the medical definitions and things on your own, then start thinking about the morality. Because at the end of the day,
that you could suggest me, like, for this particular topic. Like, I'm trying to find out on the internet, but like it gets quite like where
technical.
I could get like scientific facts, proper facts, easy. Like, I'm not a medical expert basically, so I have to try to find it.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you asking the questions, and I keep thinking about it on your own. And because I know a lot of what I said is kind of heavy and also kind of getting into some more of those gray areas. But I would say go to some of those medical organizations for your information, especially a reference I use. I mean, I know it's not in your country, but the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology is where I get my guidelines from. You can also find them with ACOG, ACOG. I'm sure India has a similar medical board that might be more accessible where you are, but try to find sources from universities or from similar medical resources.